Welcome to What's Left, a weekly political discussion challenging the mainstream left. I'm Eduardo Barca with co-host, teacher and socialist Andy Lipson, and community organizing socialist Kenny Cepeda. We are online at what-s-left.webnode.com. Please subscribe, rate, review, turn on your notifications, share your favorite episode wherever you found this episode. Thank you. Today we'll be doing a bit of a gamified version of this episode. We're going to try out, test drive a certain software that Andy will go in more in depth about, so we can talk more about ed and tech as we are seeing be more and more used in public education. But before that, Andy, we're going to do an outreach here on What's Left, and you have a letter to read out loud. And can you please share that with us?
So yeah, before we get to our video game, we do on occasion have people contact us through our WebNode channel that hosts all our episodes, and we received this letter from a person named Sandra, and it really was a great letter, and also it had an interesting idea in it that we want to share with our audience, and see if we can pull this a future episode together. She wrote, "Just wanted to say thank you so much for the work you are doing on your show. It's giving me a light of hope during this dark time of oppression. I just came across your show a month ago, and it has made such a difference for me to feel less isolated as a leftist who is rejecting the vaccine, but surrounded by my now apparently fascist liberal community. I immediately felt panicked at the start of the lockdown in spring and wondered why those around me had zero response to the lockdown as problematic. And now my best friend is 6 weeks out from her first COVID vaccine, had anaphylaxis from the shot, and now has neurological symptoms that have not ceased and which doctors have their hands up in the air about. I am one of the few people she can talk to because of my stance. She fears disapproval and rejection from her community if she were to say anything about the vaccine, though she has been nearly bedbound because of adverse effects." Then she goes on to write, "Would you consider a show in which people could give voice to adverse COVID vaccine effects? This information is deeply suppressed online. Again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your voices." So I reached out to this person and thanked them for the letter. And I think we'll probably have this person with her partner on at some point. But we, both myself and Eduardo, and I think Kenny, we talked about this as well, right? About the idea of doing a potential episode of people who experience adverse effects from the COVID vaccines. If you are that person, or if you've gone through that or know somebody who has gone through that who might be willing to go on an episode, this is an episode we're hoping to put together. And if you're interested, reach out to us, at the information shown below. It'll be in the video description as well. But essentially reach out to us through WebNode, and we're going to see if we can put together kind of a panel of people who've taken the COVID vaccine of any sort, the mRNA ones or the adenovirus one, and feel like they've had adverse effects as a result of it. And we'd like to talk about those experiences and what people's thoughts are about that. So that's a future episode we're hoping to put together. And so we're just sort of reaching out to everyone to see if you can help us find some folks. And if you can't, and they're willing to go on record, you don't have to show your face, you don't have to give your real name, but if you're willing to talk about it, I think it could be an interesting episode if we could pull together 3 or 4 people that we could find.
Yeah. I want to say, I say at the beginning of every show, we are online at what-s-left.webnode.com. We're growing as a community here at What's Left. We may be, because of many factors like algorithms, we may be a small channel, but we're on several different platforms, and combined with all those platforms, we are growing as a community. And people can reach out to us, and they can go to our blog on the WebNode. And if you would like to know exactly, because you may be hearing it, but you may not know how it's spelled, you can always find the episode notes, and it'll always be on there. As well as, if you ever feel like this channel is shut down and we're not here, you can always find us at our blog, because that's, unless we have more state control, we'll still survive right. At least on the blog. But Yes, contact us, and Andy will respond. He's a very great responder to all of the messages that come through, even on the YouTube comments. I'm terrible at it.
You are terrible at that.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Terrible. I'll respond eventually at some point. It's on my list of things
I'm apologizing. Rory, I appreciate your listening. Eduardo is, I'm sorry he didn't respond.
Kenny doesn't respond too. I'm sorry I didn't say that too. We're down together, Kenny.
Oh,
I'm going to drag you with me.
Thank you for socializing your failure.
So there's two co-hosts here that don't respond. So I will always do it though eventually. I promise. It's on my list of things to do. Let's go back to the episode.
Yeah.
Right. So we have today a software that we're going to try out. Yeah. Andy, why don't you give background on this software?
Yeah. I mean, this company is a company which basically, I'm a science teacher, so this is a company called Labster. I saw one of their articles that they had done that was in Nature Biotech. The title of the article is Improving Biotech Education Through Gamified Laboratory Simulations. And they say that gamified laboratory simulations motivate students and improve learning outcomes compared with traditional teaching methods. And in light of the STEMuli episode we had, I thought it would be interesting to actually, let's have one of us, not me, actually play one of these simulations. And this simulation is available to me till June 30th. So I figured let's give it a try. And Kenny has volunteered to do that. I can say, I'm going to share my screen and say a little bit about Labster. The Labster was co-founded or founded in Denmark in 2011 by this guy, Mads Tvilengard Bonde and Michael Bodeker. I don't know who they are. And here's the About Labster page. Labster is a company dedicated to developing fully interactive advanced lab simulations based on mathematical algorithms that support open-ended investigations. We combine these with gamification elements such as immersive 3D universe, storytelling, and a scoring system which stimulates students' natural curiosity and highlights the connection between science and the real world. The labs are being used at California State CSUs, Harvard, Gwinnett Technical College, MIT, a bunch of other places, Berkeley, University of Hong Kong, Trinity, University of New England, Stanford. Something else that I noticed, let's see what they say. Labster's goal is to make science and education accessible to any student with an internet connection and a laptop. Our vision is to help students educate and empower the next generation of scientists to change the world and solve global challenges. And you can see this beautiful picture of all these students. They actually look kind of young, a bunch of them they're all got their computer screens there in a giant auditorium. So you can see there's a lot of learning going on there. This is their kind of like a flight simulator for science students. Students learn science with Labster virtual labs in much the same way that pilots use flight simulators. Labster virtual labs are immersive 3D simulations that were developed by scientists and educators to support your curriculum with game-based learning, engaging storylines and 3D visualizations that spark students' interest, learning at a deeper level. And they urge us to use this in any way we want. Use them in classes that are delivered face-to-face, hybrid, or online. So that's the last little part down here. And I guess they're already in 2,000 high schools and colleges and university partnerships of some sort. In light of the fact that I do think this stuff is going on, like more and more, there's going to be an online experience in education. And in light of the stuff we talked about in STEMuli of data collection and potential problems in this, I actually thought it would be worth it to ask one of you to kind of walk through one of these games and let's test it out. And I want to say that, obviously I'm biased. I think probably Kenny's going to be somewhat biased. I think Eduardo's going to be biased. But my job is not, I don't feel like I'm just going to like thrash this game. I think we're just going to take a look at it and see what we make of it, and see, do we think it's going to draw people in? It's got problems no matter what. Even if it's the greatest thing of all time, it's got problems for me. But I just hope I'm actually planning on taking as open-minded a view of as I can about this program.
Yeah. And I think the reason why also Kenny would make sense out of us to try to be, because I'm basically a Luddite. I barely use, I don't game on anything. The last time I played anything Nintendo 64 or 69, however it's called, was when I was 16, 15 years old. So I don't play games. Both of you play games. Or both of you have played games recently, maybe not in the past month, but more recent than I have, certainly.
Yeah, for sure. I've played games before. Not like the most avid gamer, but for sure. I'm curious. I'm willing to get my brain rewired.
Yeah, and I think for people who are just listening, I don't, like, if you're not watching this, I don't know how effective this episode is going to be. We'll find out, but we're going to give it a try anyway.
Yeah, this is a episode where people have to be visually watch this.
But
yeah,
you know, and I don't think we should try to like walk people through it. I think we just got to deal with what we're seeing and respond. So,
which already I think shows some limitations, right? Of these things that are just visual for certain populations.
Yep.
Right, because some populations, you know, the blind, for example, I can think of, they use their hands to be able to interact in the world. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point.
All right, so I guess we're ready to play.
Yes.
Are we already in the game?
No.
So we were trying to set it up. I just found it curious that you have to use Google Chrome, and also there isn't a box that you have to check to opt in to get a. I think it has to do with your data being like collected, but it's not really an opt-in because unless you click it, you don't really have an option if you want to play it. You can't control the how your information is used or your experience in the game. So to me, like at first sight, it doesn't seem like an opt-in, which is something familiar in other areas of our lives, right? Where we just click, you know, click our rights away, you know, for things like Apple and, you know, all these tech companies. So when you go to a website and you got to click, you know, use or collect all cookies or whatever, you know, data. So we, you know, it's really not an option. It's just a facade of an option to me.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's get Google Chrome. And then, sorry, let me see here. There we go. All right, we're in the simulation. Do you see like the bar?
Yep.
Okay.
It says evolution generations of an.
This simulation uses voiceovers. If you don't have audio, click the speaker symbol on the top right of your lab pad to switch the play mode. If you disable the sound effects, the lab pad will slide up whenever there are instructions to read. You can select what type of audio you prefer. Deselecting any of the options will mute that option. Click continue to learn how to navigate through your mission.
Click continue now.
Using the lab pad is an important way to get the most out of this simulation. Is this the first time you've played a Labster simulation?
Yeah.
This is your lab pad. Use the lab pad at any time to access relevant theory about the lab, or additional instructions on what to do next. You can slide down the lab pad by clicking anywhere on the background. Try it out.
I'm trying to click in the background. Oh.
Well done.
Okay.
When your lab pad is lowered, you can listen to me without having to click continue. Highlighted objects require interactions. Arrows help you in finding their location.
So there is like a little floating.
And Kenny, you seem quieter. Do we all seem quieter now?
To raise it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I guess it's okay. How about you, Eduardo? Can you hear
I
me?
muted myself, but now I'm going to mute
yourself, dude. This is a reaction video.
Oh, all right. I see. A reaction video. I see.
For more information.
So I'm just commenting on like this camera thing, like an eye that's looking at me.
Yeah.
There it is.
Surveillance.
Yeah, I find it very interesting.
And I saw the plant. The plant is covered in a glass sort of terrarium look-alike. That is very futuristic.
Yeah, exactly. Is this supposed to be a spaceship? Like, are we like in SpaceX?
I don't know, but anything biological needs to be sealed away in glass.
Collect while playing. Click continue.
It's going to be hilarious.
Make sure you read the information in this white text box carefully. You won't be able to access it anymore after you click continue.
Wow, we can go back. It's just moving forward.
You can or cannot go back?
I cannot.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never. Yeah.
There's a bunch of information on this lab pad thing.
There's a lot of images.
Yeah. Okay. Let me continue.
You can access all relevant information in the 4 tabs above. Right now, you're in the Home tab. Click on the Theory tab to learn about the 4 tabs of the
What's
lab
the Theory tab? Let's see.
Yeah, we gotta click on
Theory. Oh, so it's just. Oh, it has expired.
Pages access token has expired. Plus, please refresh the page to request now new access token. The hell's that?
Refresh like the whole like.
Refresh it. Yeah, just refresh.
Escape.
We'll probably cut this part if we need to refresh.
No, it is what it is.
This part of So the resume, I guess. How do I refresh this?
No sé, refresh the entire page. You'd have to go to Chrome.
Like the browser thing? Okay.
Yeah, go just that little that little circle arrow. The one with next to the.
It's above Gmail. Right
yeah,
there.
above Gmail. Yeah.
Okay, it's refreshing the whole thing. So we're loading again.
Oh, here we go. Definitely enjoying that loading stuff.
Wait, what time did class start? I'm sure this is the
oh
first
my gosh, look at us now.
I'm sure this is the first week, right? Like of setting up this lab stuff, like the fundamentals of using it.
Yeah.
So wait, I have a question. What grade is this meant to be for?
I imagine it's high school and maybe first year of college, maybe.
Okay. I mean, it already feels like a regular video game where like you gotta set the fundamentals, right, of like certain tools to be able to play it. And so like the first 5% of the game is like just getting new skills, I guess.
Yeah.
This is loading.
Well, what's going on here with this loading thing?
Should I try again?
Yeah. So we're stuck at 24% loading.
Now they're telling me to use Firefox. They first had told me Chrome.
Oh no.
Look at this exit page.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try reloading it again. Oh, there it is. It's moving. I didn't touch anything.
All right, here we go.
Okay. It was testing my patience.
Yes, I'm so desperate to learn that I can't wait.
So this image, we were talking about how futuristic, again, this is the outer world, right? Like so much green and like high-tech buildings, it seems.
Yes, it's humanity and nature all in one.
I think this is what the Apple spaceship thing must look like inside.
That's right. It does. It looks more like one of those living domes that they are going to put on either a spaceship or on Mars.
Right? All right, so let's start again.
Welcome to Labster. Here, you will learn about the mechanisms that have led to the mind-blowing diversity of life on Earth.
All right.
This simulation uses voiceovers. If you don't have audio, click the speakers. Using the lab pad is an important way to get the most out of this simulation. Is this the first time you've played a Labster? This is your lab pad.
You're doing it again.
Use the lab pad. Well done. When your lab pad is lowered, you can listen to me without having to click continue. Highlighted objects require interactions. Arrows help you in finding their location.
Okay, let me open it.
Now click on the corner of your lab pad to raise it.
Oh, you just moved into the room.
Yeah.
All right. You're not going to do it with the lab pad?
I mean, I have to.
The lab pad will guide you through the virtual lab and store all the information you collect while playing.
Nice.
Click continue to proceed. Make sure you read the information in this white text box carefully. You won't be able to access it anymore after you click continue.
You will not be able to.
Relevant information in the 4 tabs above. Right now, you're in the Home tab. Click on the Theory tab to learn about the 4 tabs of the lab pad.
The lab pad guides you through the virtual lab and will store all the information you collect while playing. The Home tab contains the instruction in quiz questions. You are currently in the Theory tab. If you click on words in blue, you can access more information. The Media tab stores the images you have collected during the lab. The Mission tab contains the checklist of the task you need to perform. Click on Home to continue tutorial.
Use your mouse wheel or drag the gray bar on the right side of the lab pad to scroll down. Swipe the touchpad on your controller to scroll down the lab pad page. Scroll down now and click on the option on the bottom of the page.
Okay.
You can rotate the camera by clicking and dragging your cursor to the side.
So this is teaching me how
click
to
on the background to lower your lab pad and try it out. In case you end up in an odd position when moving around, you can recenter the view by pressing the home button for more than a second.
Can you
try it out now?
Try to lower her volume because she just is loud.
Then look forward again and recenter one more time.
Voice. Go to voice.
Continue when you know how to use the home button.
Voice. Oh, yeah. Just I think that'll
shut up this.
Oh, you can't like lower her voice.
So. I mean, just on my computer, I guess, maybe. So I'm just reading, trying to catch up.
Can we get to something that actually does something?
Yeah, let's move.
If you ever get stuck somewhere, you can click me for help. During the simulation, I will ask you multiple choice questions with 4 options. Only one is correct. Let's try it out. What is my name? Click on the Theory tab to find out.
Wait, what's her name? I didn't catch it.
I'm guessing that she's AI assistant.
AI assistant? Yeah.
Nice try, but that's not my name.
What's her name?
Crap, we already got it wrong.
Okay, I'm just going to continue.
Try again. What is my name?
So we're just going to do process of elimination.
Find out.
Not Dr. One. Mary?
Yeah, let's try Mary.
Nice try, but that's not my name.
Okay.
Try again.
Dronade.
Click on the nice try, but that's not my name.
Dr. One? No.
Dr. One?
Well,
oh, Jesus.
That is
what?
the correct
That's
answer.
scary. Dr. Evil.
You will get 10 points if you answer the question correctly on the first try. For every additional attempt, 2 points will be subtracted from your score.
Oh my gosh.
The question is not scored. That's why the score on the top left of your lab
social credit scores.
I know. We're already at -8.
Are we?
The lab pad can also show you images relevant for the simulation. After being shown, they will be unlocked and available in the Media tab. Click the View Image button to have a look at the hazardous symbols that you may encounter in this lab.
So this looks familiar from the lab, I imagine.
Yeah. Yep.
Health hazard. Okay.
Yes, basically, don't get anywhere near a lab, which is why we're doing a virtual simulation, because labs are dangerous.
You can track your progress in the Mission tab. Go to the Mission tab if you want to get an overview of your work or load from a checkpoint. You can also see your progress in the virtual lab time on the top right of the lab pad.
It's an adventure.
Every time you begin a lab, the clock on the lab pad will read 8 a.m.
Oh, man, this is annoying. This is going to be one of the most annoying episodes of all time. Do we have to listen to her?
Okay, like this.
I actually think we should turn her off.
Okay, well.
Good job. Now you know how to use the functions of the lab pad and your controller. It's time to get hands-on. You can interact with the objects in this lab by clicking on them once. You can interact with the objects in this lab by pointing your controller at them and clicking the touchpad.
I find it curious that they chose that voice because they can use a non-robotic
in case an object is out of view, you will see arrows on the side of your field of view. Are you ready to start with your mission?
Yes.
Perfect. Then let's get started with your first mission.
And so, wait, question: is this already like in trial in school?
Yeah. I mean, I assume they're using it because they're letting me do one of their online simulations that they probably use. So this is a legit simulation.
All right. So let's start the mission. So what do I do now?
We've just gotten word from a remote beach in Cambodia that a sea creature carcass has washed up on their shores. We need you to go collect a blood sample to analyze.
Okay, so we're teleporting to Cambodia, apparently.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ponlu. I'm so happy you are here. This animal carcass floated into our harbor. We were wondering if it is one of the rare megamouth sharks that has floated up from the deep ocean. We need your help in figuring out what kind of animal it is.
Use the test tube in the icebox to collect a blood sample from the carcass.
Where's the icebox?
You're playing the game, dude.
Wait. Click on the icebox to open it. Click on the test tube in the tube to pick it up. Click on the sea creature carcass to collect the blood sample. Okay. So.
Maybe you have to look around.
Creo que este is the
Yeah,
icebox right
around.
there, Kenny. I
gotta pinch and click and like. So yeah, I'm on a boat.
It's pretty jumpy. Is it jumpy for you too?
Probably because you're doing the.
Click on the lab pad for more information.
But that's what I'm wondering. Is it jumpy for you or no?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's pretty steady over here.
Okay.
So my hand.
Click on the sea creature carcass to collect a blood sample. Put the test tube containing the blood sample back in the icebox.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for the call, Ponlu. It's time to go back to the lab.
Well, I'm glad I traveled to Cambodia for like. But it didn't. I don't know what It just looked like any other water.
Well, it's very convenient that they.
Using next generation sequencing, we determined that this sea creature might be closely related to blue whales. Whales evolved from wolf-like creatures such as the Peckycetus. Let's go to the evolution simulator to see how they might have happened. It's time to play and fast forward through time. Enter the room and go to the evolution simulator.
I'm just looking around over here to see. Yeah. There's a lot of plants behind glass.
Yeah,
contained.
I see that. What's in those lockers?
Let's go check it out.
Want to contain you here.
Coat.
Oh, you're putting it. Oh, yeah. At least they have a person of color's hand.
Yeah, right. It's very inclusive. It's just lab codes.
Yeah, each one has a lab code in it. Okay. What about the backpack? There's a Labster backpack.
There is doesn't. You can't open it. Okay. So you can't really touch anything else.
All right.
Let's see.
Click on the lab pad for more information.
I think we have to go through that gate, huh? Or that door.
Yeah.
I think it's the front door, though, right? The one I was facing when I first came in.
Yeah.
This one.
And how easy are you finding like moving?
It takes a second. It's not like obviously it's just a mouse, so it's not like using a controller.
Yeah.
So Dr. One.
How can I help?
Dr. One.
I am a bit stuck. It's difficult to use the lab pad now. Let's continue.
Let's do this.
I'm just
Feel free to click on me whenever I display the info symbol.
All right. So where do I go? Here.
Click Create Ecosystem to set up the simulator.
Okay.
Great. We will simulate the evolution of Peckycetus on this virtual island.
What the hell? Wait.
So I'm creating a simulation with this piece of technology.
What does this have to do with the blood from that sea creature?
I think it's gonna incorporate it.
All right.
In a second. Let me just do it.
We'll simulate the evolution of these two
Peckycetus.
like dinosaurs or something, right?
Oh, yeah. Peckycetus.
So whales came from these animals, according to this. Okay. So continue.
Click start to release a male and a female on the island.
Oh, okay.
Observe the frequency of Charles's allele in the population over time.
Oh, there it is. There's this graph on the right.
Their genes are randomly distributed among their offspring.
Oh, this is confusing.
Each square symbolizes an allele, meaning a different form of a gene. Note that half of the genes always originate from each parent.
Okay. So am I supposed to have some background to use this program?
I think you were supposed to maybe to look at the theory and
observe the population growth on the floating screen.
I don't know.
The floating screen. Okay.
Prey is abundant on the island, so Peckycetus reproduces fast and individuals quickly inhabit the whole island.
Now it's getting glitchy.
The genotypes of the population are shown below. Take a look at the alleles in the first generation of offspring, the F1 generation. What percentage of alleles are passed on from the original mother and father?
Okay, I'm lost right now.
What happened to that screen? We were looking at an image a second ago.
The other one, I think it's right here. Once I click down here, no, that's not. Let me ask a question. Let me talk to Dr. One.
Look, Eduardo's checked out. This has.
Yeah, it's not responding, Dr. One.
Eduardo's on his phone.
No, I was trying to make sure there's no
Click on the lab pad
signals from my phone.
Okay, lab pad. Okay, there we go.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Prey is abundant on the island, so Pachycetus, whatever, reproduces fast and individually quickly inhabit the whole island. The genotypes of the population are shown below.
Okay, and what do you make of that little thing right there? What is it? What do you?
I mean, just like, I guess, random selection of genes. Let me see if I can click on any of these.
Like, I'm just curious what you make of it. I mean, there's some things I can possibly make of it, but
I mean,
or Eduardo, you.
Well, I think it's just giving you how the genotypes are distributed from parents. I'm not sure if this is necessarily will help, unless you're doing a lesson with it, right? But I don't know how this is going to be independently used. I mean,
so yeah, I mean, this is where I would want to ask someone, you know, like what is this? Like, how do I understand this? Because like, other than this, there isn't anything to, you know, like I was trying to click on Dr. One and there's no help really.
Right. And I think as a teacher, I would have to know, like, I'm assuming for the female on the left that is under P, generation P, which means the parents. F1 is its progeny. And it had one female and a bunch of males. You see that?
Yeah.
Then I'm assuming that A1 up there in the top left-hand corner, that's an independent gene. And that it has an A1 allele and an A2 allele, right? Because it's got A1 and A2. So the guy, the kid on the left, take a look at the kid on the left.
Mm-hmm.
They got A1 from the parent of the mom.
Yeah.
And they got A3 from the dad.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So now I'm starting to walk you through it a little bit, but this is what I think they're doing. But my sense is if I didn't say that, you were just going to begin to check out. You wouldn't be sure of anything that you could make some guesses, but I don't think you feel very sure about what you were doing.
Not really. I mean, I have glossy eyes right now. Like, it's just an image to me. Let me see if the theory thing. Oh, there it is. So this is where I would have to read, I guess. The Hardy-Weinberg Principle of Equilibrium states that a population's allele and genotype frequencies are inherently stable, and unless some kind of evolutionary force is acting upon the population, neither the allele nor the genotypic frequencies would change. And then the equation is here. So is this something you cover in class, or like?
I don't do biology too much. To me, that looks like what is it? Like P plus Q multiplied by P plus Q. That's all that looks like to me. That's mathematically, right?
Yeah.
If you have P plus Q in parentheses and P plus Q in parentheses, you get that. So I'm not that familiar with that, but I don't know who P and Q are. I bet P is maybe one parent and Q is the other parent.
Yeah, I can go back to the image. Media. This is the one we were looking at, right? Like, no, not that one. Yeah, right. Let's see.
Oh, I see. They're showing us pedigree after 20 years, 10 years.
So things start to get mixed.
It just looks like a bunch of squares to me, different colors.
Let's see. Just browsing through images. There's still some that are locked. So
yeah.
I have to go through the.
We have to proceed and make some success. Our curiosity in science will make us proceed.
Well, I'm not too excited about having to read this without.
I know.
Okay, and I like reading, but
Yeah.
I like science.
Yeah.
But this mathematical tool allows us to detect deviation from the expected commonness of gene versions, alleles. So now they define it, and as such discover evolutionary pressures on the population. The Hardy-Weinberg Principle assumes conditions with no mutations, migration, emigration, or selective pressure. This sounds like economics, where you limit a lot of variables. Just to, I guess, to set a principle.
Yeah.
Or selective pressure for or against a genotype, plus an infinite population. Wow. With no population, while no population can satisfy those conditions, the principle offers a useful model against which to compare real population changes. Okay. Even Hardy and Weinberg recognize that no natural population is immune to evolution. Populations in nature are constantly changing in genetic makeup due to genetic drift, mutation, possibly migration, and selection. As a result, the only way to determine the exact distribution of phenotypes in a population is to go out and count them. Well, how do we do that from a virtual lab? Well, the Hardy-Weinberg Principle gives scientists a mathematical baseline for a known evolving population to which they can compare evolving populations and thereby infer that evolutionary forces might be at play. If the frequencies of alleles or genotypes deviate from the value expected from the Hardy-Weinberg equation, the population is evolving. And then, like, they define evolution in blue. Evolution is the process of changing the population of organisms over many generations. This process of genetic and phenotypic change has resulted in the modern diversity of life from a few ancient common ancestors. Okay. I guess there's more to learn. So selection, mutation. I want to go back and take my chance because I got tired of reading. So I want to go back and take my chance with the quiz.
That's how I feel.
All right. So what now? Let's see. Let's pull back. How do I pull back? Okay. What now? Doctor
1.
One. It's not responding.
There she is.
Okay. So here we go. With theory. Mission. Back to the mission. So we went through introduction. Evolution simulation. Have 0 out of 10.
Wait, are we saying that we already worked in the lab? We're 36% progress?
I wonder if that's like the whole simulation for,
What have we learned so far?
I've learned the Weinberg and something principle. A lot of fancy words that I don't fully understand. But they sound fancy. Phenotype. Allele. I don't remember.
We've made 36% progress. I don't feel like we've learned anything yet.
Let me play around.
We teleported to Cambodia.
We traveled. Okay, so what is this? I want to play with this.
We're encouraging students to have international experiences.
I wonder if this is like a side mission. Oh, there we go.
Only in Cambodia do you find dead carcasses.
Oh, I have a back button right here.
They're the only ones that have dead carcasses. And you mustn't travel there right now through the plane because it might just be dangerous.
And I wonder,
teleport yourself.
What do I do now? I'm stuck. So
this plant's not covered. This may be the safe space.
Right? There's some plants that are not sealed up. I don't feel safe.
All right, this is like a name of specimens and time of years.
Okay, so am I supposed to scroll down all the way down and say, yeah, I agree?
Yes.
To move on? Okay, mission. Okay, home. Good theory. Wait, this is day 1. I just looked at this thing, evolution.
So far, you have a 0.
I know. I want to get points. I'm getting frustrated because I want points.
Okay.
How do I get points?
Well, that's definitely what the goal of science is to get points.
You know, come on, Dr. Wan just checked out.
They did.
Wait, hold on. Is Dr. Wan supposed to be a teacher somewhere in like the Pacific Standard Zone, or maybe somewhere more?
They are logged off. They went to bed somewhere.
Okay, I'm gonna go back here.
I think we even bored the AI.
Yeah, it's not talking to me. So I'm completely on my own here. Do you have any ideas what I should do?
I think go to different things and click on them and like see if we can, because we had a blood sample. Weren't we supposed to do something with the blood sample?
Yeah, I mean, they sent me here.
There was a refrigerator. Can you go to that, find the refrigerator that had the...
I gotta travel back to Cambodia. I don't know if you made it with me.
No, I think it came with you. There's got to be your icebox is here.
Let me go over there.
Go to your icebox. Go look to the right, I thought. Right there. That.
What? Is this how I escape? Disconnect from the matrix. Okay, so I'm turning around.
That's that original room.
Lock her out. Get away from me.
Should we go somewhere else?
Oh, there are different passageways.
We can definitely make progress there.
I'm not allowed to go.
Does it let you go that way?
No.
Well, at least now we know that it won't be so boring in the virtual world once we're connected.
I mean, they'll give you paths that you can't access. So I got a glove.
Maybe you need gloves. Ah, you didn't have gloves. Get the goggles on. Maybe that's the problem.
I can't touch them.
Okay.
But
we didn't have gloves on before, right?
I didn't have any gloves. I'm getting more. Just wasting them.
All right,
this feels like escape the room.
Go back to the other room.
Is that the icebox there?
There.
Right there in cerca de la planta, right there, close to that.
I think it's that red thing.
It's the red thing.
I'm clicking on it.
Nothing happens, right?
No. I mean, I'm sure I have to put it in.
And what about that thing right there? You have to put the sample in there. Can you press start? Determine sequence of DNA samples quickly and efficiently.
Sorry, I clicked on it earlier, but it didn't do anything. I'll go back. Okay.
That's like an invisible virtual person.
So I'm sure I have to sequence the DNA for that sample, but I feel like I have to go back to the story.
Go to the phylogeny. What did it say? It said phylogenetic tree something.
Phylogenetic tree generator.
We're not making any progress.
Yeah. Okay, let me try to go back to that table.
No, I'm fine. I mean, it's just the way it is. You know, that's the way it is with science. Sometimes things move very slowly.
But I mean, this is on me now to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where I would go to YouTube and find someone who has played the game. You know, and find some sort of like clue.
But I think Dr. One just checked out on us, and I think that makes it a little difficult.
Yeah. Can we write a review somewhere?
There we go. Wait. If you go to mission, and then it says, if you check the box of evolution simulation, does that mean that we go to that?
I tried, so it doesn't do anything. This is only like tracking my progress.
I see, because it says the last save was performed 18 minutes ago at 21% progress.
So for 18 minutes, I haven't done anything.
Well, we made an additional 14%, 15% progress.
Hey, doctor, you're really frustrating me. Just following me, watching me, and not helping me. Oh man, I feel like I'm at a store, you know, where like I look suspicious. Am I supposed to click like on every?
Well, that's why you have to have blue hands. You're not.
Yeah. Do I have to read everything? Maybe that's what it is.
Oh, that would take a long time.
Yeah, because you look, I'm keep expanding. Like every time I click on a blue thing.
Oh, look at the DNA structure. That's cool. But our progress is not carrying on. We're not getting. And where's your thing about point? Oh, we have 0 points, so we've done nothing.
So, but look, I figured something out. The more I click on blue words, the more I get tabs on the left.
Oh, I see.
And then I can go back to them. See now, like I keep getting more stuff down here on the left.
I see.
So I just have to explore, I guess.
They basically are trying to get you to read all this stuff, right? Is that what?
Yeah, but also this episode is not long enough to read all this.
No.
So genetic drift. I'm sure that's gonna be a movie for Fast and the Furious 10.
Right. Fast and Furious 10.
Brought to you by the Apple, what do you call, movie producing company, whatever. I mean, Amazon just bought
MGM.
Yeah, so you know they'll be in the business of talking about this stuff. So yeah, I'm just opening stuff on the side, alleles.
I mean, you certainly opened a lot of things, but we haven't progressed anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, what now? Theory.
Wait, wasn't there a question there?
Let's see. Where did you see the question?
I thought I just saw a question. Right there. It says, take a look at the alleles in the first generation offspring. What percentage of alleles are passed on from the original mother and father?
Okay, so I gotta go to theory. What was it in allele again?
I think because we're trying to have this episode not be too long, Andy, if you can just provide the answer.
No, I will not do that. That would be unscientific. That's not how I roll as a teacher. I want you to learn by exploring.
This is how we progress. Like I have to answer this, and at the end, it's also.
So here's your chance, Kenny and Eduardo. I think I know the answer to this question. I think, but y'all have to do this now. This is your learning moment.
Oh Jesus! Andy.
I would say it's a random percentage.
No, it's not a random percentage.
Well, 50.
Something
50,
I
50?
read about was 50%. Something I remember a long time ago.
Okay,
you got it. The parents pass on a random mix of half of their genes, which results in a unique genotype of the offspring. If you look at a single allele, you can calculate its frequency in the population.
Did it?
For example, in the parental generation, the frequency of the yellow A1 allele would be 25%. This is because out of the 4 alleles for the A gene, only 1 allele is of the A1 variety.
Okay.
Let's have a look at the A1 allele after another generation of reproduction. Calculate the allele frequency of the A1 allele. Does the allele frequency of the whole population compared to the founder population change?
I just count 2.
What was the question again?
They're asking as you go from P, I think, to F1 to F2.
Oh, here's the question.
Does the percentage of the allele, like A1, change?
Yes, it does change over time. It does. You start to go farther and farther away because you're introducing other people.
But I count more. Well, percentage, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, but I count more on this, like F2, like the.
Right.
I count more. Look, like F1 has A1, just 2.
So you got to answer the question.
Yeah.
Does the allele frequency compared to the founder?
That's what I would have said.
Increases?
Uh-oh.
Hold on, let
Maybe
me
it
look at
does.
the gender too. I have to look at the gender thing. It's a female. Male. This is
If you're watching this is the time when you should check out.
male, female. So it increases though.
Well, what do you think, Eduardo? What were you gonna? We're gonna
Does
see.
the calculate? So I'm trying to figure out what it is
Do you
asking.
get any lifesavers? Can I call someone?
Just give me your
Go
answers.
back.
We're gonna
Can-
go to B. Look, at this point, because I'm a student, I'm frustrated. I would just guess.
Yeah.
You know, like I would just guess if I don't understand stuff.
I don't feel it.
Correct. First, you need to count the yellow squares within the whole population. The allele frequency can be calculated by dividing this number with the number of loci. A locus is the position where the allele can be found. Each individual gets half the genes from each parent. Therefore, there are 2 loci for each allele.
Okay.
So
I got it wrong.
I thought
you-
it decreases over time.
But that was just looking at the number of yellow boxes up there.
Yeah. Look there.
There are 3 yellow boxes out of a total of 1, 2, and in the top there's 2 yellow boxes.
Right?
And the total number of boxes in both versions are the same. So how are you going to say the allele frequency decreases if the number?
Well, let's look
Well,
at
we could
our.
Hold on. It's also asking us to add this. Look at this. Calculate the allele frequency of A1 allele.
P plus
That-
F1 plus F2. There's a calculator there.
Splitting. Right? So there's 1,
Hold on, let
2,
me choose one now
3,
because
4.
Compared to the founder population, it's compared to that was the other thing. Compared to the founder population, it would definitely decrease.
Decrease?
yes, because it's
We
the
get
founder
divided.
population. You're trying to make me
I
look
see
wrong,
why-
Andy.
I got it wrong too.
So, because
I didn't get it wrong. You're the one who gave him the answer. I didn't.
know.
So don't say 2.
Because it's compared to the.
It decreases.
No, this is incorrect.
Oh. First, you need to count the yellow squares.
This number with the number of loci. This is the position where the allele can be found. Each individual
think-
gets half the genes
I'm going
from
to say
each
right
parent.
now, my
Therefore,
PhD should be
there are 2
stripped from me.
loci for each allele.
Wait, so what now? So wait, we can only we take it 2 points taken away, right? Like every time we answer something wrong.
But I guess
They should be taking points away, but they're not. I don't know why they're not.
Well, I think once they give you the score, right now we're not getting any score from this question. So
or maybe the allele is gender specific. Look at the gender.
specific.
A ver, no, espera. Go up. Let me see.
It is gender
okay.
specific. It's only on the.
Yeah.
I don't see what that has to do with like.
Well,
whatever.
well, because like the
Maybe
males,
it's not gender specific.
the males have 2, and the female has 1.
Well, yeah, and sometimes
So
I don't think it's gender specific because there are some males
Yeah.
that have it.
But
So I guess the allele
So-
frequency stays
Apparently,
the
the
same.
allele frequency stays the same.
Okay.
I would go with D though, but okay.
No, go with C. We're gonna try it.
Got it. The
Okay.
random distribution of the genes
See, we
results
got
in
it.
even
Brilliant.
distribution over the
We're
whole
learning already.
population, and the allele frequencies stay the same.
Ooh, look, 16. They took 2 points off of us.
4.
They took 4 points off of us for getting 2.
This
2
phenomenon was also observed by the
Okay,
English mathematician Godfrey Hardy and German physician Wilhelm Weinberg. They stated the principle of equilibrium to describe the genetic makeup of a population. The theory, also known as the Hardy-Weinberg Principle of Equilibrium, states that a population's allele and genotype frequencies are inherently stable. Which of the following phenomena could disrupt this equilibrium?
I think we know this.
So it's selection pressure. I think so, for sure. Mutations, obviously.
No.
Migration, I'm not sure.
This is
but,
the
I mean-
infamous all of the above has got to be the answer.
You got it. The Hardy-Weinberg Principle of Equilibrium is the theoretical model and very rarely applies to real populations. In the real world, there are always evolutionary forces disrupting the equilibrium. The Hardy-Weinberg Principle gives scientists a mathematical baseline of a non-evolving population, to which they can compare evolving populations and thereby infer what evolutionary forces might be at play. Due to the small size of our Peckycetus population, it is very susceptible to genetic drift. Genetic drift happens when there is a loss of certain alleles due to chance.
Is that?
Anyway, I would just say
it's called accessibility, Angie.
Yeah, that's true. I see.
Continue.
All right. Continue.
Let's see what happens after a couple of decades.
Okay.
You've moved up 38%.
39.
Oh,
You've made
39.
progress. I feel smarter, though.
Why does the population not continue to grow exponentially?
Did we just kill each other? The carrying capacity of the 9 has been reached. Why does the population not grow exponentially?
I would say either. Eduardo, do you have a guess?
Wait, why does the population not continue to grow exponentially? Old individuals, they have serious inbreeding. No, the individuals kill each other.
I mean, then again, we're using the model right here, right? Like that kind of leaves the external force, external pressures out of the equation, right?
That's Heisenberg.
So
Yeah.
I would think it's D.
That's what I would say.
A. Oh.
I think we should go with the carrying capacity of the island.
Precisely. The natural habitat has only enough resources for a certain number of predators because their prey is limited. Let's have a look at the genotypes in the Peckycetus population now that a few decades have passed. Here are 5 random individuals and their genotypes. Which statement about the frequency of the yellow A1 allele is true?
It's gone.
I mean, this just proves that you can really learn by multiple choice.
Yeah. So why do we get graded then? I feel cheated. I was graded for getting it wrong.
I feel like there's not much. I feel like what this is basically a glorified multiple choice test with where we teleported to Cambodia for a moment, picked up some blood from a sea monster or a sea carcass, and now we came back and we're taking a multiple choice test, which I feel like tests our background knowledge than our actual. I don't feel like we did any learning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in my case, my background knowledge didn't help us at all because I was wrong a bunch of times.
And I think I remember some of this.
Are you there?
Yeah, what happened, Kenny?
My internet was, I don't know. What happens with that in terms of our recording?
No, we're good. We'll just come back and you can go and do it again.
I was going to say what helped me understand some of this was when I had a teacher that taught us to use our own family members' eye color and hair color and height. And
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay.
I think you'd have learned more if you would have done a sea carcass of a creature in Cambodia. Anyway, let's answer these questions.
Okay, which statement about the frequency of the yellow A1 allele is true? I'm trying to move this shit around. So I don't see it anymore.
Okay, let's keep going.
Which statement of the frequency of the A1 allele is the allele frequency has changed from the initial population. The frequency of the gene is constant. Within this subset, the allele frequency is the same as the initial population. The frequency is within the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium.
I think I know what I would put.
Can I see the image again?
So A1 is gone.
Yeah. So that allele is not there anymore in the population. So I think I know which answer I would put then.
We'll put A because
I think that's what I would do.
Because he has definitely changed. He's not there.
Mm-hmm.
But then we were talking about the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium earlier. I would put
I'm
A.
thinking of that Harvey Weinstein.
Right? Probably related.
Hardy. Hardy-Weinberg.
I'm gonna click on A.
Hey, I think you should. Yeah.
The allele frequency changed. It seems like the yellow A1 alleles vanished from the population. I have checked and can confirm this as true for the whole population in this simulation of evolution.
And that means evolution. You can evolve then, right? If those alleles start to go away.
All right.
Turns out the A gene, or locus in question here, is responsible for the shape of the inner ear. Individuals with the A1 allele had worse hearing than individuals with the other alleles for gene A. Not surprisingly, good hearing is important for successful hunting. Individuals that don't hear well have a much lower fitness. This means they will die younger and are thus unable to pass their genes on to the next generation.
Survival of the fittest.
This sounds like a perfect eugenicist dream.
You know?
Which evolutionary force leads to these allele frequency changes?
Genetic drift.
So I would say no. I don't think I would say genetic drift. That's not my answer. Eduardo, what do you think?
Well, it would be the natural selection.
That's the one I would have put.
Yeah. Let's go to little Darwin over here.
What a fit brain you have. Every organism produces more offspring than what would be needed to replace the previous generation. This leads to natural selection. The unfit individuals are less likely to pass on their genes. Selection is the key driver of evolution and results in a change of the population. The Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium is a theoretical model that does not apply to most natural populations.
The good thing about
this is the thing, though, is I still don't think we're learning anything. Like, I think we're there. This is like a pretest to what I knew before I came into the class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, none of this stuff that we just said is stuff that we learned during this simulation. I mean, is it just me, or Kenny?
No.
Well, I mean, I think you would have to read the stuff that they gave you, like in the theory. So it's there, but it's definitely not an interaction. Like you said, it is just a test, a multiple choice test.
It looks to me like an online textbook with a multiple choice test with some images.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was hoping to see some videos and stuff, and of things like evolving and moving and explaining in that way.
Yeah,
I would be more engaged with that.
Well, at least she told us that we were pretty smart, though.
I mean, so I've never heard that compliment. What a fit brain you have.
I did not say that to you when you were in class. I never told you how big a brain you had.
Because they're interested in your brain for sure, and also I'm really happy at the selection they're gonna do by tapping into our brains and having a good profile. Like they're gonna put our fit brains to work.
That sounds like zombie apocalypse kind of shit, right? Look at that brain. It looks very tasty.
Your brain, not your body. I'm sure your body's fine. Just care about your brain.
Oh,
Eduardo's not amused.
Poor Eduardo, he's sick out, man. This is too much for him.
It's just, yeah. I don't know how to keep. If I was a teacher, to keep my students engaged doing this.
I don't know. At this point, I would say you got 56 out of 100. You still have not passed my class. That's what I would say.
You know what this reminds me of too? Is knowing about the people that work from home and like how they're logged off if they're not moving their mouse. So they have to be there moving their mouse like every certain period, which is an arbitrary thing by whoever sets up the program. Yeah. So I think that's the way. That's going to be your job. Make sure kids are moving their mouse. in advancing things in a timely manner.
Well, they've got that little eye up there to keep checking that.
And then the ones that get below a certain point, you don't tell them they have a fit brain. You just stay quiet. You don't bash them, but you just you're like,
Right.
You should try something else. This is not for you. Natural selection. I'm gonna continue.
In relation to evolution, natural selection is
the mechanism. In relation to evolution.
What do you think, Eduardo? Which one are you going to pick?
Hold on. It's not the purpose. I don't think that's... Hold on. Let's come.
I think it's the mechanism.
Eduardo's going online right now to see if he can find the answer.
Yeah, this is an AP test.
How am I going online?
That's not the way this is supposed to work, Eduardo. You're supposed to respond to the game. You're not supposed to cheat.
I'm not cheating. We should share my screen right now. There's nothing.
Why you don't get tokens for that one?
But I was just going to say anybody can cheat now that you mentioned it, Andy.
Well, Dr. Juan is watching you.
I don't think your brain is very fit, Eduardo.
Okay, I think it's a mechanism in relation.
What do you think, Eduardo? A, B, C, or D?
So result and outcome are the same thing. To me,
This is why I don't like working with other people. I just want to move on.
Man,
we'll do mechanism.
Yeah, I would say mechanism.
You're right. Natural selection is one of the evolutionary mechanisms that leads to a population that is better adapted to its environment. Natural selection is a very simple process without a purpose.
You know what this also makes me think of? Like the sounds, the visuals, the reward. Going to the casino. This reward, the reward, and like certain machines that talk to you, and I give you a story, a semi-story, just enough to keep you engaged. So you keep clicking and pressing the button. And yeah,
it's totally true. Yeah, I could see this as like gamified Vegasness.
I mean, yeah. Let's continue.
Which of the following sentences is true about evolution?
Species are constantly changing to survive.
Oh my God!
Natural selection leads out individuals that are.
Eduardo, what do you think?
Organisms always getting better. Evolution.
I think I know which one I would answer.
Well, I think A makes sense.
Yeah,
but I don't. B sounds like it's A, but obviously saying it in a way that's.
that just sounds like fourth industrial revolution right there. Natural selection weeds out individuals that are unfit. That's got to be the answer.
I think that's the answer for this, and it makes me think of
I think the computer would say A.
All right, Kenny, you're playing the game. You got to decide A or B.
B.
Fantastic. Natural selection is about individuals.
I told you, man.
In a particular environment, but
They
for
want to talk.
evolution, good enough is good enough. No organism has to be perfect. For example, many taxa have changed little over great expanses of time. They are not marching up a ladder of progress. Rather, they are fit enough to survive and reproduce, and that is all that is necessary to ensure their existence.
So you just gotta be a C student.
I think our score is looking very good right now.
76, yeah.
Other taxa may have changed and diversified a great deal, but that does not mean they became better, they simply changed. After all, Earth's conditions change, climate changes, rivers shift course, new competitors invade. Fitness is linked to the environment, not to progress. In fact, species that have changed the least have survived through the most environmental changes.
And humans become cyborgs.
I mean, yeah, we're not good enough.
Natural selection is a non-random force that can reduce diversity. Another evolutionary force that is more random but also creates diversity is mutations. Mutations are changes in DNA, analogous to changing a letter in a word. Mutations occur in all human cells on a regular basis. Severe mutations usually result in cellular death. If several mutations accumulate without killing the cell, they can lead to cancer. Mutations that occur in the germ cells of the parents, which are the egg or sperm cells, can be inherited by the offspring. Often these mutations lead to a developmental defect and the embryo dies.
So, Eduardo, you mentioned about this being about accessibility, you know, the voice.
Maybe that may be one reason.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what that does to people that, you know, like don't need that, you know, in terms of being able to read and stuff. You know what I mean?
Like
it's reading
deaf
for you.
or for
No, like people without, you know, like deafness. Just, you know, I guess if I can call it like normal people. Like, what would doesn't that inhibit your ability to read? The fact that someone is reading to you?
Oh, like able-bodied people like us? Yeah, I don't know. I read some studies some time ago where reading and listening to it at the same time, sort of that connection allows you to understand the text better. I think that's something I sometimes have read, like I read the book Roots, the big thick book Roots, listening in audio form, but also reading the text at the same time helped me a lot.
Okay.
So I think for some people, but yeah, it might be, I don't know, it might be.
I find it harder.
Well, her voice is not the best voice, yeah.
And she's reading at a different speed than I would read, and it's actually distracting.
Yeah, well, no, it doesn't work for everyone.
And it keeps me from reading.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. I'm not listening. Into, like, I kind of follow, but I'm mainly listening.
I think there has to be the option of having to turn her on. Or
you can do that. You can actually turn the sound off if you want.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, continue.
But I think for the podcast, we should leave it on.
The death of the embryo. Instead, a healthy Peckycetus male is born. Let's call him Charles, after Charles Darwin. Charles's mutation leads to abnormally high activity of an enzyme that is responsible for bone formation. The mutation results in heavier bones and Charles develops a bulky stature. Charles is slower than his siblings and not able to catch enough prey. But against all odds, he stays alive by patrolling the beaches and searching for carcasses of marine animals like the blue whale ponlu found in Cambodia. Ironic. His bulky stature turns out to be an advantage against rival males, and he is able to dominate a rich shoreline and produce offspring.
You go, Charles.
Well done.
Click restart to turn the wheel of time again and record the number of individuals that carry Charles's unique allele.
We're making progress here.
Observe the population numbers. It looks like Charles's allele persists at a low frequency within the population. What property of the population has increased as a result of the viable mutation?
What property of the population has increased as a result of the viable mutation? Look at the graph. Can we look at the graph again? The number of specimens. I don't know. Oh, allele. Charles allele. Charles allele has grown.
Yeah. I don't think I understand this one. What property of the population has increased as a result of the viable mutation?
I think
number of genes. Maybe D, carrying capacity?
Maybe.
In theory, we're supposed to go here.
Oh, we're going to have to read now?
Apparently.
Did you do that or did they do that?
I did. Multiple choice.
I don't think it looks like Charles allele persists at a low frequency. What property of the population has increased as a result of the viable mutation? Genetic variation? DNA length? I don't know. Yeah, I guess we have to just guess. I'm just gonna say. What would you guess, Kenny?
I'm gonna go through process of elimination, not DNA length. The number of genes. Well, those don't change, right?
Oh, maybe there'll be more genetic variation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what carrying capacity.
Me either.
So I'll go with B. You're right.
Exactly. Charles's allele increases the genetic variation of the Peckycetus population. Even though dense bones and a bulky phenotype is a disadvantage in most of the environment, Charles's offspring are able to reproduce and the mutated allele persists in the population.
And they hang out on the shoreline with their big bones.
After 100 years, Charles is long gone, but his mutated allele lives on in the gene pool of the population. The population has reached an equilibrium, and this could potentially continue for thousands of years. But changes are imminent. Let's say ocean currents around our island diverge and the climate changes. Rainfall decreases and the vegetation on the island changes accordingly. Click Restart to see the effect of the drought on the population numbers. Observe the population numbers after the change in climate.
Well, the wild types are fucking going down.
Well, Charles is doing pretty well. Charles, folks, because looks like it knocked out.
This population collapses during the first years of the drought because their food source diminishes. All the Peckycetus are forced to search for food along the shore. The competition intensifies and individuals start to hunt in the sea. The heavy bones derived from the allele introduced by Charles enables the Peckycetus to float low in the water and hunt like a crocodile. This shifting lifestyle favors Charles's allele and the genetic makeup of the population changes.
Changing lifestyle.
Oh, look at Charles's. Charles would be proud. His allele is doing so well.
It looks like 100 years after the climate on the island changed, the entire population carries Charles's gene. What is this phenomenon called?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to read to know that, so I don't know.
Sympatric speciation, allopatric speciation, adaptation, divergent evolution. I'll go with D.
I would go with D. Let's go with
No, this is incorrect.
Ooh.
Please try again.
That's some points off for us.
So the only the name shows in there is the.
I don't think. I mean, I don't remember even seeing those words.
Yeah.
Maybe adaptation. Let's try adaptation. I recognize that term.
This is 70% progress.
This is adaptation, not speciation. For speciation to occur, two new populations must be formed from one original population, and they must evolve in such a way that it becomes impossible for individuals from the two new populations to interbreed. Speciation can be a result of the geographic separation of two populations, called allopatric speciation, or can occur within the same location, called sympatric speciation.
Oh my God.
Sapiens, you got it.
I'm still going to ask this question now. Mm-hmm. Have either of you learned anything yet?
I mean, I think this is more of a refresher for me. But I also feel I don't learn in a public space. So
me, I'm learning.
The world is watching me as I'm learning.
You got to put your ego aside and what do you say, Kenny? Would you say you've learned anything from this thing so far? We've made 70% progress.
I'm learning words, but I mean nothing like concrete, really.
I honestly think
this isn't learning for me.
There's no learning here.
You know, you're right. It's like a game. Like it's a game, literally a game where, like, there are parts of games that I just skip through and like gloss over and just to get through it, you know, and to get to the end of it. But you know, it doesn't mean that I did everything. You know, I just like cut corners as many as I can just to get through the boring parts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised at how little is present in this thing. It's got like bells and whistles that indicate there might be a game here, but it's like we took some blood from a sea animal when we teleported to Cambodia, and I'm not even sure what this is all related to that, because we just went down. We're doing this fake. After we took this blood from a fake carcass in Cambodia, now we're doing a fake simulation of these two fake dinosaurs.
They have to talk to the people that made God of War, because at least there you learn some mythology.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It's
It looks like something that a teacher would hand to a student and say, "I've done my job. Here, look at this interesting looking thing that has this shell that looks almost interesting," and then hand it over to the student and be like, "Okay, now you deal with it." Mm-hmm. And so I as a teacher can act like I just did my job. You as a student can act like you learned something because you can find a way. Look, we got 94 out of 100.
Yeah.
And we didn't learn any of that. Like, that was a combination of good guesses, background knowledge, and like luck.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not very engaging, really. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't even have to read to kind of get through it. I just had to kind of guess.
Yeah. And if you were going to embed the reading, you would want the reading to be embedded as you were doing, mm-hmm. so that you wouldn't. It wouldn't be this whole thing where you were like having an online encyclopedia that you had to walk yourself through. That almost was unrelated to the thing. It's just, this is not good.
And I click continue.
In this case, the heavy bone phenotype is better adapted to a semi-aquatic lifestyle, and the frequency of the gene within the population increases due to natural selection. Mutations such as Charles's heavy bones accumulate over time and lead to diversity within the population. Natural selection, on the other hand, weeds out unfavorable allele combinations and favors individuals who are better adapted.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of a bit of going to UC Berkeley too, and having a 300-person class, lecture, where you just, all right, we're gonna go over some stuff. Hopefully, you read the book that we wrote, from the professor. Yeah. And then basically, like how I felt when I was in Berkeley, that education is really about the work that I will do, but I'm getting charged to struggle basically, and not be guided through, an actual learning.
Yeah, and I think even if you did your due diligence and did this whole thing like legit, I don't think you learn that much, because you could just as easily read this in a textbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's basically that, just a textbook with some interaction, I guess. That's what I get. But even, it's not like, again, exchanging, because again, not everyone learns the same way. People need explanations in different ways, and at least that's what I think. And this does the one thing, and
we've had our lab gloves on this whole time to do what? To take a test, to do multiple choice questions.
Yeah, and the blood sample is melting away.
I know.
I'm gonna click continue.
Here is another locus. There are 3 different alleles that influence the fur pattern of Peckycetus.
Okay.
Click Start to simulate the allele frequencies of the 3 different alleles for fur over time.
What's that? Distaste? Disaster. Okay.
Play God?
Different allele frequencies are constant over time. Let's see what happens if there is a natural disaster and the population suddenly decreases. Note which allele is most abundant, then click on the disaster button to simulate a natural disaster. Click disaster on the hollow table to observe the effect of a disaster on the population numbers and allele frequencies.
It's taken us 3 days, by the way, to do this.
Yeah, I feel like God.
Just
Paid for.
created a disaster. Each
disaster decreases the population size, which increases the likelihood of genetic drift. This phenomenon is called the bottleneck effect. If a large proportion of the population is suddenly wiped out, the genetic makeup of the survivors becomes the genetic makeup of the entire population. Click on the lab pad to choose whether you would like to continue simulating disasters. Would you like to continue simulating?
No, I think we should stop because it's
Now that you
7:15
have learned about the most important evolutionary mechanisms,
and we need to
how you
give
think genetic
our
drift
commentary.
selection
This
results in
episode has been a disaster.
evolving into the
I think we should stop because
Okay.
Kenny has to go at 7:30, and I think we should at least have some time to do our commentary.
We're at 86% progress.
You can just
No.
skip through it, like just like I would do in class if I had to do it.
Parakeets constantly adapt to their environment.
Okay.
The largest animal that ever lived on our planet, the
Okay.
Where are we at now?
Teleporting. We're going back to Cambodia, probably.
Holy smokes. They teleported us again.
Welcome back. Beach scavengers are having a feast on this carcass. That's impressive that it is a blue whale.
There's Dr. One.
Mind-blowing that it is genetically similar to a wolf itself and a shark. I guess I got tricked by the analogous features between whales and sharks. What else can you tell me about evolution?
click on a topic below if you want to discuss it in more detail.
Oh, for crying out loud. Now,
Discussion and
look.
end the simulation to complete the simulation. Aren't science and nature absolutely amazing? Call us again if you need help in the future.
Christ. All I know is we went exactly to the same exact place in Cambodia. It's got the same exact guy. It's got that same carcass.
Hey, you're missing the give us feedback.
Do you feel like you gained relevant? I completely disagree.
Okay.
Thank you for your feedback. Your score has been saved together with your 100% progress.
Hey!
Congratulations, you have completed the simulation. We hope you enjoyed it and you feel wiser now.
You see, you wanted to quit. You wanted to quit. We are smarter now. Our brain is
Exactly.
Our brain is fit.
We got our completed simulation. This is not. We can now go on to earn a badge.
All right, that was it, huh? It took us 4 days. All right.
All right.
So stop sharing.
Yeah, and we'll get out of the game. Ponlu, is that his name? Ponlu?
I'll get back to you. Okay, sounds good. Stop share. There we go.
There you go.
We're back from Cambodia.
All right, Eduardo, where should we go from now? This will be the wrap up.
Yeah, I think we should talk about our commentary. I think, to be fair, I'll start. I think, to be fair, this is one of many out there. And when I was a kid, there was one learning game that was a lot better than this game. So I don't think it's fair to base this virtual learning game on other ones that might be better out there. Still, even with the learning game that I had when I was a kid, I forgot the name of it now, but I still feel it wasn't very, I didn't learn much. I learned encyclopedic information, but it wasn't what I, as a kid, needed to interact with the world and understand the way excuse me, the way the sensory world functions. So what this misses is that three-dimensional experience of the world that we live in, because that's how we do learn. I mean, one of the senses that we forget, besides the five sensory senses, there's hearing, there's sight, there's taste, there's I missed one: hearing, sight, taste, is the touch, and what other one? I'm missing. Yeah, sight. Sorry. Is our vestibular system and our proprioception sense, which proprioception has to do with muscle memory. Like you walk up the steps and you don't have to remember, or look down. Your body remembers how far to go every time you take a step. The vestibular system is to know the direction of your body, where it's at, and in relationship to the earth. And these experiences are only, and these senses can only be stimulated through three-dimensional experiences, no matter what people say, no matter how good the programs are, no matter, I've heard people say, this is quality education, we're doing our best. This is nothing compares to in-person learning. It just will never compare. And that's just something we have to live with, and stop trying to pretend like there is quality education when nothing can replace in-person learning. Just nothing. And nothing will replace traveling. Nothing will replace hiking, smelling, touching, feeling, embracing. It's like, if those people want to say that, then I'd like for them to have virtual sex and talk to me about saying, oh, how quality of that was,
Yeah, I actually expected this thing to be better. Like, I wasn't going to give it the benefit of the doubt because I don't like this way of learning. But I was like, I thought there would be more here. I've played video games, and these people basically had a paper that says that this simulation and things like it are going to, not only will they help if you've learned biology and some biotech, it will make you a better biotech student by virtue of doing this. In addition to that, but also they say that if you did this alone without a teacher, you would learn more. And that, I just think that can't be true. Like, based on what I just saw here, this was basically a glory. I can go online and find information that's on, like, about alleles, and you can just read stuff, and then you can take a quiz for it. It was a multiple choice question with a bunch of reading, and you teleported, and then you clicked onto a few things, it moved. I think that some things broke. Dr. One abandoned us halfway through. And so that was way sadder than I expected. And I know for a fact that a teacher with Skittles could probably produce a better lesson about alleles and how things, procreate, and how you start from the parent generation to the F1 to the F2. I know that, like, and you get to touch it, and then you get to work with somebody else, and you get to ask a question to either the teacher or a fellow student. So this is awful. Like, but they can improve the technology, maybe, I guess. But I don't believe, in 2014 they wrote, that was 6 years ago. They said that program is better than learning it in class. And I think that's a lie. I know that has to be a lie, because there was no learning there. Everything we did in that program was based on things we already knew before we started the program. That's what we were accessing, background knowledge, by and large. And you can't just read by learning and then click and answer a multiple choice question on the basis of that. That's not a question about science. That's a question about reading comprehension. Doesn't mean you retain it and in any meaningful way. We didn't do anything, and it was lifeless. Not just for its computer thing. It was lifeless as a game. Like, I mean, Kenny, you played Uncharted 4, man. You saw what that game was like. I mean, that's crazy, So, and Uncharted 4 is not lifeless. I mean, it's really, you have to sneak up behind somebody and strangle somebody or shoot somebody, but you feel like you're involved in the world there, So I'm surprised how poor it was, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, it's not new. I think I've seen this. I saw this when I was in high school, in some form. There's always been an attempt to incorporate technology into learning, quote unquote learning. I remember the Oregon Trail, little things like that. But yeah, just like we discussed during the video, or the interaction, it just seems like it's just a text. You're reading a text and you're being guided through it. And I agree with you. It's not learning. I hear what Eduardo's saying. Like the interaction, the exchange. I even wonder about like actual new knowledge. And challenging ideas, right? And because that's the core of science. Being able to debate, right? Like when we look back at the Enlightenment, whatever, you had people debating ideas, and I think by and large, we reached a point where, for many reasons, that we've kind of discussed with like other episodes, we've reached a consensus of where debate is not really allowed. And so these mechanisms scare me because this is just a delivery system for the official storyline.
Exactly.
So
I just have to say, like, there are different ideas about how things really evolve that have that aren't really about these allele mutations. There are other models for evolution that explain how different species are generated. So they're definitely loading the dice and saying, here is what the answer is, and here is what you are learning by discovering the answer that we are producing for you.
We've also had that episode with a couple episodes with Eric Lerner, right?
Yeah.
About the Big Bang theory and why there are big holes in that theory, yet it is pushed as gospel. We've obviously gone through a year and a half of some claims that have resulted in a lot of insidious things. And so again, if this is what the future of education is, then and again, in segregation, right? You were saying that kids are gonna do this on their own, basically, and just again, having someone to monitor whether they're interacting with this screen. Where is the space for the rebels? The people that will question, or the people that just learn differently, the people that need more answers. I am one of those persons. I don't take things at face value. I want to ask more questions than what is being told. And so who do I talk to? And so it is scary in that sense, because it puts you in a box that like we said before. I think Alison McDowell uses that quote that algorithms are coded opinions. And you, Libson, you said that this is a world that has parameters that were designed, and it is limited by nature. And I think that alludes to what Eduardo was saying. That learning is beyond just memorizing things. That's not learning. And the other thing that I think of is that, the more I learn about Western science, Western math, physics, all this stuff, and understand, I heard this Western scientists saying that Western science is very good at taking things apart and studying them individually, but not seeing them in summation, not working backwards to put things together. And so we have issues like climate change that we don't fully understand. We have experts of different areas, but they don't really talk to each other. And so, yeah, again, all these things add up to something that is really scary and very Orwellian, I guess, to me, in my mind. And again, this is, you're talking about kids whose brain paths will be developed doing this in limited in many ways in the things that make us human, like the interaction, the struggle, the different ways of communicating and learning, the different questions that we come up, by being different.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the first thing that Eduardo said about the plant covered in glass, in many ways, is like emblematic of what this way of learning is like, if science is anything, it's about trying to discover the natural world, like the world that we live in, and what are some properties of it and how does it behave. But it's the real world, and you can't discover, the only thing you can discover in this world is where the bugs are that allow you to like break the program, allow you to get into little gaps in the program. Everything else, there's no discovery. It's just literally being rewarded for walking down the path that they want you to walk down.
Yeah. I mean, there isn't anything else I would add. So this will be a good place to conclude. That was an interesting game. If you survive that, you'll survive the apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, if you stayed with us during that game, I'm pretty impressed, because that was some boring shite.
All right. That does it for this week's episode. What's Left is a weekly political podcast / channel challenging the mainstream left. We post information about our topics and our guests on the episode notes wherever you found this episode, or on our blog at what-s-left.webnode.com. You can find past episodes to this podcast /channel there and connect with us. You can contact Andy and Andy will respond. I remind folks, if you like anything you have heard here, please share your favorite episode, rate, review, subscribe, turn on your notifications to our platforms on Spotify, iTunes Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Bitchute, LBRY, LBRY, Odysee, ODYSEE, or YouTube and Telegram. And if you would like to give us feedback about something you've heard or suggest something for us to cover, contact us through our blog. I'm Eduardo Barca with co-host Kenny Cepeda and Andy Lupson.